Well, good morning, everyone. I assure you that will be other committee members coming in. We're in that part of the season where some of our membership is trying to figure out how to be over at Granite Place introducing bills as well as here doing hearings. So we're all kind of split, but we'll do our best. We'll open the hearing on House Bill 1019, and prime sponsor is here, or who is here to introduce? All right, come on up. Good morning, Representative. Welcome to Senate ED&A.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Pearl. It's good to see you. For the record, I'm Allison Knabb. I represent Rockingham 12, Stratham. This is a pretty straightforward bill. The origin story of it is that the original bill would have added a water treatment specialist to the Well Water Board. We heard from both DES and the Well Water Board chair that they don't currently regulate water treatment, and so it didn't really make sense to have someone from the water treatment field on the board. However, in the process of discussing it, DES recommended removing the state geologist from the board. They already have the commissioner of DES on the board as a representative, and the state geologist doesn't really play a large role and can attend the Well Water Board as requested to provide information. So that is all the bill currently does, is remove that position from the Well Water Board.
Thank you,
And
Representative.
I'm happy to take questions.
Do you know if does this board have any adjudicative authority? Do they actually vote? I mean, my only concern is we're taking it down to an even number, and we're always very concerned about that because that can result in a tie.
Sure. I
can
think
ask
DES is here, and so maybe they could answer
Okay.
that. I think mostly they deal with licensure, so, but I think
Okay.
I'll let them speak to that if that's
Perfect.
okay.
Thank you. I don't see any other questions, so I guess it's just me. All right, Stephen Roy? Good morning, sir, and welcome. Well, we will provide them for the other committee members. They can read the testimony and watch the hearing if they'd like. Just hit the button until the red light comes on. There you go.
All right. My name is Stephen Roy. I'm here today from New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services Drinking Water Bureau. I oversee the state's water well program. And among other things, the water well program is the program that administers the requirements of the New Hampshire Water Well Board. As previously mentioned, this bill removes the state geologist from the New Hampshire Water Well Board, and the department is in favor of this. In reference to your question previously, the board will move down to 6 members, 6 full-time members if this passes. And if a tie occurs, then a tie is not a majority vote, so whatever they're deciding doesn't pass. Now, that being said, the board's primary role is to license drillers, issue licenses to New Hampshire licensed drillers and New Hampshire licensed pump installers for water supply wells. And so that is the majority of what I'll call the effort that the board puts time into in its meetings each year. And in sitting, we've had some vacancies, so I've had to sit on the board over the last 4 or 5 years. And the board rarely has a lot of disagreement on a license or not, because the criteria for a license is established in their rules. So it's pretty binary decision making.
Okay. So there could be a situation where you could have a tie vote. Is there any procedure in place on the board to address that?
No, again, the tie vote would end up being a no vote.
Sure. Okay. Senator, we are hearing House Bill 1019, or I am hearing it. I guess now we are.
So sorry.
That's okay. This would take the Water Well Board down to 6 members, and my only concern I was raising about the position and the possibility of creating a tie. So I was just asking if there were what the duties of the board were, and generally if there was any adjudicatory authority where a tie would be an issue. But again, it doesn't sound like there is, so. I do not have any further questions. I know you just walked in, and I'm not sure if you.
I totally forgot.
All right, well, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
That is all I actually have on the list. Anybody else that would like to testify on House Bill 1019? All right, seeing none, we will close the hearing and we'll be in recess until 9:10. Send it around. All right, being 9:10, we will open the hearing on House Bill 1259. And Rep. Johnson, are you here to introduce? All right. Good morning and welcome to Senate ED&A.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and member of the committee. For the record,
Very
my
well
name
played.
is, for the record, my name is Representative Eric Johnson. I represent, my district is Stratford 11, which is the towns of Lee, Madbury, and the city of Dover's Ward 4. And I am here to introduce House Bill 1259 relative to the issuance of certificates as a certified public accountant. I want to start by pointing out that this bill has most, if not all, of Senate Bill 571 in it, which has already passed this committee and the Senate, but it's got a bit more. 1259 does. It has mobility, which allows people who are currently licensed and out of the state to be able to practice in New Hampshire in an effort to increase the number of CPAs practicing in the state. I am available to take questions if you like, although we have some members of the Society of CPAs who can do at least as good a job as I can at answering them.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are on House Bill 1259, the second bill. All right, Kevin Kennedy and Robin Houston. Yeah, the first one went very quickly. Good morning, welcome. Turn your mic on, please. Just hit the button. There you go. I know red is on, believe it or not.
Well, thank you for giving me an opportunity, or us an opportunity. My name is Kevin Kennedy. I'm a CPA here in New Hampshire. I have been for about 30 years. I'm also chair of the Tax and Legislation Committee for the New Hampshire Society of CPAs. This is Robin Abbott, who is also the president of the New Hampshire Society of CPAs. And we were in front of this esteemed group a few weeks ago on, as indicated, Senate Bill 571, which, as indicated, it's largely identical to the one that passed unanimously here, which, by the way, we're very grateful for that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I guess I will just point out a couple of the differences. And just very quickly as a reminder, this is to address a shortfall of CPAs in the state and really across the United States. A lot of states have already passed similar legislation. So if you need selling on why it's so good, I'm happy to do that, but I don't want to take your time on something that we've already addressed before, so I'm just going to address the differences.
Sure.
Primarily, the primary difference is mobility. So mobility, right now, under the current law, if a CPA wants to advertise and practice for a New Hampshire client, they probably have to get licensed within the state. There's some complexity to it. Mobility allows them to practice within the state without having to get relicensed. Now, this doesn't take off any guardrails or necessarily hurt CPAs that are in New Hampshire, because there are still guardrails in place for people who are practicing attestation services, reviews, compilations, audits. So it's not like, so this helps CPAs to practice in the state. It helps with the shortfall, but it doesn't remove really the guardrails that are in place for people. So that really is a big adjustment, and many states are moving to automatic mobility. There's another small change which was prompted by the OPLC. It has to do with the section on foreign licenses, and essentially what's been added to this bill is a repeal of that section, because OPLC had indicated that there were laws that were passed a few years ago when OPLC took over the licensing that gave them jurisdiction over that section, over foreign licensing. And so the wording in that section that currently exists is not really applicable, because it would be trumped by the laws that were passed a couple of years ago from OPLC. That really doesn't affect what we're trying to accomplish here, which is to, again, allow for easier entryway into the licensing, at least not for folks in New Hampshire. So So we're fine with that particular adjustment because, I mean, ultimately, as we understand it, whether we're fine with it or not, whatever the law that was passed a few years ago would trump whatever happens here. So
Would
those,
that be the repeal you're referring to?
Yeah, that's
On
the
the last page?
on the
Page
last
three?
page,
Yes,
yeah.
Okay,
I think it says repeal to,
yep, RSA 309B7.
yeah, regarding substantial equivalent foreign.
Yep,
That one, yeah.
okay.
That really, those are really the two differences between the bill that you passed already and this one.
Thank you. Did you have some more testimony you wanted to add?
Just a quick moment. And by the way, my name is Robin Houston. I'm recently married, so
I said Abbott, didn't I?
It's okay.
Old habits.
I am the CEO of the New Hampshire Society of CPAs. I want to say, first of all, thank you. I'm sure that you don't hear every testimony starting out with thank you. Thank you for your service to what you do for the state. Thank you for listening to this bill when we first discussed it. Our board looked at the amendment. It came back. Our board fully supports the amendment. I've gone to the majority of the large firms and small firms, CPA firms. They all support this. I could not get letters this time because I'm sure you can appreciate they're mired in tax season at the current time.
I suspect they're busy.
Yes, and I'm just here to say, again, we fully support this and we appreciate what you've done for our businesses, our citizens, our taxpayers. This is really an important bill. I did bring copies with me of some of the other states in the nation that are also passing this particular bill as amended with mobility. It's found on the NASBO website, but I brought copies for all of you as well. And again, thank you to Kevin. This is the smartest man, I think I said to him this morning, that I've ever worked with and very appreciative. So,
Yeah, I called her name wrong, but I'm. the
no, that's
smartest man.
okay. It's all right.
I had my testimony, which is largely from what I did the prior time. Would you like me to submit this?
Sure, if anything you'd like to submit, give to Ben. Thank
And Matt, and thank you.
Well, thanks for your testimony. Congratulations, by the way. Any questions from the committee? I think you did a great job explaining. Thank you. Anybody else that would like to testify on House Bill 1259? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing. You want to exec these? You guys ready to?
On this one, sure. Yeah, motion
Yeah,
for
but-
executive session.
Motion to go into exec. Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye.
So on this, which one do you want to do first?
We can do this one. Is there a motion on 1259? Move to approve. Any, you want a second?
Sure, second.
All right.
Just a question.
Yes.
Is there anything that's not I think I heard the answer to this. There's nothing that's not in this that was in 571.
I don't believe so. That was my understanding. So
Is that?
Okay.
Okay. I thought you might know. Okay.
further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any objection, consent? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Senator Reardon, would you like this one? I think the other Senate bill was yours, right? Yeah, 4-0.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to have Senator Gannon at all today. He has several bills over at Granite Place he's having to get through. We did hear House Bill 1019 before you both arrived. If you're not comfortable execing it, and you want a chance to review it, that is fine. The essence of the bill is it just moves the well water board from 7 members to 6. And that was at the request of the department. And I did question them on the adjudicative abilities of the committee with a 6-member panel. You know, could result in a tie. There was no great concern because primarily all they do is license and they don't really have anything else they were concerned with. So
A question, and deletes the state geologist?
yes, that's who's being removed
Okay.
from
Got
the panel. Yes.
And no
So-
opposition?
No opposition at all, but if you're not ready to do this, you want to rewatch the hearing, I'm
No.
fine holding it.
Have we opened discussion on it?
Yes. I'd like to-
Did you move it on to pass?
It hasn't been moved, but we can discuss beforehand if you'd like to.
Okay,
before
I
we do
actually spoke with the prime sponsor and last night checked on all of what happened in the House.
Mhm.
So the committee passed it unanimously, or recommended unanimous ought to pass, and it passed on a voice vote from the House.
So are you comfortable
I'm-
executing?
Yeah,
this?
and
All right.
yeah,
I'm
let's-
comfortable on the sponsor. It was a
Yeah.
constituent request from my district, as you can see by the sponsors.
Do we have a motion?
Ought to pass.
On to pass. Do we have a second?
second.
Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objection to consent?
None.
All in favor?
Aye. Excellent.
You want this one?
Sure.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
Phil?
I'll put it. I'm on the document.
All right, Senator McGee, I'll give you this.
Senator McGee.
Do we have a motion to come out of exec?
So
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are out of exec. We are right on time, so we will open the hearing on House Bill 1204. I know Representative Davis had called me. You going to introduce for him? All right.
and I also have to run over to Grant Place.
Okay, so we get, before we start, Representative, just one quick note, we do have to accept the Senate bill that we have left today, which we have an amendment for. And I have Rich Lambert coming about 10:15 to explain, or about 10,
Oh,
after
yeah.
our 10 o'clock hearing to explain.
Mm,
All right,
Okay.
but I do have to exec it today, so if you want to review the amendment and you have any issues, just let me know.
Is it
Someone
not-
on
is
that-
it in-
it is. I'm sorry, Representative, go ahead.
It's-
Floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members,
Thank you very much.
committee members. HB 1204 has to do with lumber grading. And mostly lumber grading to do with home building. Canadian lumber is designated SPF, which stands for spruce pine fir. Softwood lumber coming out of the United States through Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont is designated as SPFS, spruce pine fir south. In the industry, the spruce pine fir of Quebec and Canada has a higher value as far as strength in building. And that's because of the black spruce that grows up in northern Quebec and Ontario. There's relatively no black spruce in southern Quebec, Ontario, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont. So it brings a bigger value. So that our loggers get a less price for their lumber in New Hampshire because it has the S standard as perceived as weaker, which it's not. So what this bill does, the line that goes from SPF to SPFS is our boundary with Canada. A lot of New Hampshire, Maine is further north than southern Quebec and southern Ontario. So it's ludicrous to think that a tree growing in Pittsburgh and a tree growing 100 feet away across the Canadian border have different values. So what this bill does, it just, instead of having an arbitrary boundary, which is the border, it changes the boundary to 43 degrees latitude. So anything above the 43.45, I think, latitude will be called SPF because it's the same exact trees. And that would give our timber owners, cutters, a premium on their product, and it'll give our sawmills, like the one in Mile Lumber, a chance for a premium on their product. And it might not sound like a lot, but Mile Lumber saws enough lumber to build 35 houses a day. So part of the hypocrisy in the way it's graded now, I live on Route 3. I watch many truckloads of logs from New Hampshire cross into Canada, goes to mill, is milled, and sold as SPF. And if it's milled in New Hampshire, it's got a lesser value as SPFS. And the same thing, the mill in Milan, I've seen them take lumber to another mill in Canada, it's finished, gets a premium because it was finished in Canada, but it's our lumber. So this just cleans that up and says, you know what, our New Hampshire lumber should be promoted to cut for our houses and our buildings and on equal town grounds as the Canadians. And I had mentioned that black spruce that gives the Canadian timber their strength. It grows very tight rings, very tight grain, but it grows very small. It's mostly used for 2x3s and 2x4s, not building lumber, just for studs and stuff. So it brings strength, but it's not really a good building type of product. And I'd be glad to take any questions.
Thank you for your testimony. Is this the exact same bill as the one that Senator Rochford brought in?
I know it's similar. I haven't looked at
Yeah, okay.
Senator Rochefort's.
All right, but no conflicts that you're aware of with this bill?
No.
to his? Okay.
No.
Questions from the committee?
Same question.
Okay. Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayberry. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Senators. I'm Matt Mayberry. I'm the CEO of the New Hampshire Home Builders Association. It's a great day to be in New Hampshire. I'm really envious of Senator Magoo's tie because I think it would match my watch really well.
You got the same
It
one.
looks okay. So we're twinsies today. The New Hampshire Home Builders Association supports this bill. We helped craft the language on it. It is identical to Senator Rochefort's bill because what this comes down to, it is a buy New Hampshire, build a New Hampshire bill. Because right now the geopolitical line of the demarcation of the stronger wood is in Canada. Conveniently stops at the Canadian border. And then the inferior wood begins in the US, allegedly. We like to change that. The 43-degree latitude is right around Tamworth, Madison, and cuts across. So our friends, all the border states are actually waiting to see what we do on this. I'm going to take you in the weeds for 15 seconds. That the grading of lumber and those standards actually is a federal Department of Commerce issue. The state of New Hampshire can pass this and say, we view and we want architects and engineers to provide an alternative building material standard for the SPF Canadian lumber and the SPF-S New Hampshire lumber. It'll go from, ideally from New Hampshire state law to our congressional delegation to go to the Department of Commerce and say this needs to be national trends based on latitude, not a geopolitical line. So once again, we're going to be first in the nation. And our friends are waiting to hear what we do. They've asked me for the language already. What this does, it really just reinforces and saves New Hampshire jobs. This is a jobs bill. There's a mill in Coos County. I'll leave their name out of it because it's their business practice. Several years ago, they were operating 6 days a week. They're now down to 4 days a week. They've laid off a third of their employees because what's happening is architects and engineers are designing homes built on SPF or Canadian lumber. It's easier. You don't have to do an alternative. What this bill does, Senators, is it says engineers and architects allow the consumer to decide. Here's one built with Canadian lumber. Here's one built with New Hampshire lumber. What would you like to do, consumer? Because right now a consumer doesn't have an option, it's gone away. Lumber yards are saying, well, if everything's coming across as SPF lumber, why do I need to carry the S? Because everything coming out on paper is saying Canadian. So that's what's causing the inventory to drop. And it's causing those labor hours to decrease. And that's why we're driving Northern New Hampshire mills out of business. Help us save them, please. We just want the consumers to decide. So that's a lot for, I'll just shut up and stop.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have any questions? I think we're good.
Thank you.
Jason? We saved the big guns for last.
Oh, my goodness. Or the bottom of the barrel getting scraped.
I didn't want to say it that way.
You're being kind. Well, good morning. For the record, my name's Jason Stock. I'm the Executive Director of the New Hampshire Timberland Owners Association, and I do come today in support of this bill. We think it's a practical bill, and we think it's very narrowly focused. It deals with New Hampshire mills, and is Representative Olet mentioned, is that we're talking about, kind of a national building or lumber grading system. But what this bill really kind of focuses on is what we can influence as the state, and that's our building code. And what we're saying is that if you're building in New Hampshire, that they can recognize SPF and SPFS. But it also, I think the bill does a really good job at creating a couple checks in there to say, look, if you want something stronger, if you want to specify a stronger, you have that option. And if you're going to do an engineering report, you report basically what your product is. And I think it also sends, as Mr. Mayberry had mentioned, I think it does send a broader, more important message that some of our neighboring states and others ought to hear, is that, hey, let's not just rely on geopolitical boundaries. Let's look at the biology and genetics of these trees and base the strength on those. And what better way to do that than look at where they are growing according to latitude, and not just because they happen to be across a international line. I'll conclude my testimony on that. If you want to learn more about the dark art of lumber grading, I'm happy to go down that rabbit hole a little bit, but I wanted to just kind of keep it high level and just kind of give you our perspective that we think this is a good bill. We think it is narrowly focused, and it gives these mills, and really the one mill in particular, it gives them an option. They can continue to do what they have been doing. It doesn't force them to change anything, but it does give them an option. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Questions from the committee? Senator Altshuler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. So the entirety of, I'm going to just preface this by saying I have no objections, and I just want to make sure that this is tight and doesn't get thrown in court somewhere. So the section of section 6 kind of outline in the findings on page 1 basically outlines the entire bill. However, I probably should have asked this of Mr. Mayberry, but maybe you can jump in here on line 30. It says, for the purposes of the building code, it's anything milled in, harvested or milled in New Hampshire. So the delineation doesn't exist anymore? Or how do these two go together?
So, yeah, so how do you reconcile that?
Are we saying that
So
in section 6, there's no delineation anymore? Like, which
No,
I think
so
is the goal.
what we're saying is, I mean, that is the way I interpret it. That is, a proclamation from the General Court of New Hampshire saying this should be the case. But recognize the New Hampshire General Court doesn't have jurisdiction over the American Lumber Standards Board. But what we're saying is, and I think this is what Mr. Mayberry was suggesting, is we're basically making a proclamation. If you're going to grade lumber and use, based on where it's grown, use this. But where we see this bill and the rubber hitting the road is exactly, Senator, what you had pointed out, is line 30.
My apologies.
No, is exactly what you pointed out. It starts actually on line 29 and goes into line 30.
Yeah.
So if you have a tree growing in New Hampshire, it's harvested and milled by a New Hampshire sawmill, then that, in the state building code, that tree can be considered SPF, no S. But section 6, my interpretation is that's a proclamation that we're sending you are sending as a legislative body, saying this should be the case. And from our perspective, we're going to say our building code recognizes this. And that's what is lines 29 and 30. And I think it's important too that, again, the narrow scope of this is that it's looking at a tree harvested and milled in New Hampshire. So if I were a sawmill in New Hampshire and I purchased southern yellow truckloads or a train load of southern yellow pine and had it shipped up, that would not qualify for this. So again, I think it's a very good kind of surgical bill in that it makes your proclamation, but then it focuses on where you have jurisdiction, and that's the state building code. And furthermore, it gets even more specific so that I can't game the system and buy a bunch of southern yellow pine or loblolly pine, which has different building characteristics, bring that up and get it stamped SPF or SPFS. No, it has to be a New Hampshire tree. And that's important because as you heard, the further north you go, the trees grow slower. You tend to have denser wood. See, I couldn't help it. I start to drift down into the dark art of lumber grading.
Full disclosure, actually I have a couple of timber owners from the north who also happen to live full-time in my district. So I've learned more about timber in the past couple of years than I ever knew I needed to know.
That's
So
wonderful.
I think I understand. Yeah. Oh yeah. There it is. There you go. I understand how the two jive together. Yeah.
I personally find lumber grading very intriguing, but that's just me.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Any further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none.
thank you.
Anybody else would like to testify on House Bill 1204? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing.
Intriguing.
Intriguing, but I didn't spell it out. All right, we will, it's already after 9:30, so we'll move right into our next hearing. Representative Boulette, are you introducing this one too? All right. We will open up the hearing on House Bill 1037 and recognize Representative Boulette to introduce. Good morning.
Again, thank you very much for letting me testify today. This is really a very simple bill. Back in maybe 2021, when the sport of OHRV riding and ATVing in New Hampshire really exploded. And with any new sport, there were some growing pains, troubles with municipalities, butters, cowboys on the trails, and just trying to get things figured out. So the legislature at that time created a commission to study OHRV use in New Hampshire and try to come up with solutions and legislation to help ease some of the problems that are associated with the sport. It was a 3-year commission, and the commission still meets and is still working. Believe they're doing good work, and what they'd like to do is continue the commission. And we have to do it at this time because if not, it'll expire before the next legislative year. The only real difference is we'd like to add someone from the Bureau of Tourism to add to the commission, and that's what it is.
All right, so the only change from the original commission is on page 2, line 11 and 12. You're adding the member from the Division of Travel and Tourism.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the committee?
And extending the effective date.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The only change to the commission is
Adding a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Representative. We have 2 others signed in favor. Anybody else that would like to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close the hearing on House Bill 1037. I'll take a motion to go into exec. All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion on this bill? Senator Reardon moves up. Beth, did you second?
Yes, I did.
Senator Altshul seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any objection to consent?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Senator Holtzschiller, would you like this one?
Yeah. I'm all about that timber life.
All right, do we want to, we might as well do the other one, too.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion? I'm sorry. I'm
Move
gonna-
on to this.
on
1204.
1204? Yep. All right, Senator
1204 offsets.
Senator Holtzschiller moves 1204.
Second.
Senator McHugh seconds. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Move consent?
Any objections? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. I'll take it out.
You want this one too? All right,
Yeah.
Senator Altschul will take this one out.
Yep.
I believe we are right on
Can I
time to
sing
start our next
Kesha on the
one.
floor?
I'm sorry?
Can I sing Kesha on the floor?
You can,
All right.
but these will be on consent. You'll have to pull it if you want.
I just might. Maybe I'll do a PI for the consent calendar.
All right.
In song.
Do we have a motion to come out of executive?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And we are out of exec session, being right on 9:40. We'll open the hearing on House Bill 1126. Do we have anybody here to introduce? Oh, come on up, Representative. Good morning and welcome to EDNA.
Thank you very much. I'm here in lieu of my current committee, which is EDNA over at Granite Place. So it's lovely to be here. My name is Jeremy Slotchie. I represent Hillsborough 13, that is Hudson, and this is my bill. This bill removes the licensure requirement for mold inspection. In researching this bill, one of the things that stood out to me about this particular licensure is that it's very narrow. It covers just the profession of being a mold inspector. If a homeowner identifies mold themselves, they call for mediation, have it done. It doesn't cover anything in terms of commercial, it's just residential, and it's just this very narrow band of individuals who will be mold inspectors. After my testimony, we looked into it, we engaged with OPLC and determined there are 0 people holding this certification. So in my view, this is basically just a cleanup. After this bill passes, the world we'll live in is the world we live in today. So that's about it.
So no concern that was expressed about any consumer protection issues with removing this?
There was plenty of concern, and we took that seriously. I believe we heard testimony in opposition that that expressed those ideas, and we took that very seriously. And then looking into it, because the scope of this licensure is so narrow, and because there is currently no one holding this certification, we felt confident that removing it as a requirement would not be in any way detrimental.
Do you know off the top of your head, has there been any previous license holders in recent history?
I do not know that. It's a good question, though.
Yeah.
I assume there must have been. There's a reason that this legislation came into being, but for whatever reason, over time, it appears as though people either don't know about it, don't. What I would imagine, because of the scope of the licensure is so narrow, that what is exempted from this particular license is, like, say you're a home remodeler, you come into a home to do a bathroom remodel, you find mold, you're not required to hold this license to remediate that mold. So the modes and methods by which people discover mold tends to be either they're tearing out a particular room in their house, they discover it, you're not required to hold that license to remediate it. So this is specifically to engage in the act of discovering mold.
Thank you. Senator Reardon with a question.
Thank you. I think I have 2, but I'll start with this one. Is your occupation or profession any way related to building, or is that how this came to your attention?
No, I because I was on EDNA, because I am on EDNA in the House, I wanted to sort of look into what our committee would cover. So I looked into all the different licenses, and this one caught my eye as being somewhat unnecessary. And my profession, my occupation is a software developer, so very little to do with homes at all.
No mold in your profession?
Every once in a while, but we can hit the delete key and get rid of it.
Senator Reardon with
A follow-up. Do you know of any other profession that encompasses in my home, if I found mold, or I was selling a house or buying a house, is there another profession that would be who I would call to come look at it?
So if you called somebody specifically to come for the purpose of identifying mold, it would be covered under this requirement. Either apparently people don't do that specifically, like you'll call a home inspector, right? They don't need to be certified in this. So it's they're exempted. So it's very niche. If our intent is to ensure that New Hampshire homeowners are free from mold, this current regime certainly doesn't appear to be effective in ensuring that they meet whatever standards of compliance that we think are important.
Follow-up. So you mentioned home inspectors.
Mhm.
Doing an inspection of a home prior to purchasing a home, would the home inspector be do you know anything about home inspection requirements to be a home inspector that would qualify them to identify this?
I don't specifically know, but as someone who recently had a bit of an incident with their washing machine, and it's on the first floor in a split entry, and it leaked into the basement, I got mold, and I was very quickly able to decipher it. And I imagine, as a layman and not involved in construction whatsoever, if I can identify mold, someone who's in a house every day, given the occupation, would through experience certainly be able to achieve at least a basic understanding of what mold looks like. And I would hope that anyone engaged in the trade would be looking out for the best interests of their clients.
Further questions? Senator McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me.
Thank you, Representative Slancy, for taking my question on this bill. So nobody holds the license now
That's my understanding.
from the state, but is it possible that those individuals performing these mold inspection, interrogation, discovery, investigations, whatever you'd like to call it, are they certified by other agencies, and is that why we don't have a specific group of licensees here?
Honestly, I don't have a definitive answer to that question. I think it's a brilliant and very interesting question. I imagine home inspectors have some amount of responsibility to OPLC, so they may receive additional training outside the scope of this particular license. I'm unaware of a good factual answer to your question.
We may have some folks in the room that can answer that, but yes, go ahead.
Yeah, my follow-up is in the law, in the section that you'd like to repeal, 310A, 189B, I think there's a list of additional separate agencies, 2 or 3 of them at least, and that's where they get, and they have to be certified by one of those. That's my understanding, and hopefully Director Jurius or if there's other folks here who have expertise in this, can elaborate on that. I'm just concerned if I'm all for streamlining licensure in general, but if we're to just take this out, then there's no form of training or whatnot or oversight at all.
That is true.
And maybe that's okay, maybe it's not, because it's a policy decision.
I certainly understand your assertion. I would say that if that were a problem, we would be experiencing the net negative side effects of that today, given there's no one that holds this. And I imagine if the training, basically what the certification requires is that individuals take a training course through a third party. And so I would hope that anyone who's engaged in this profession is trained today, because as far as I'm aware, practically there isn't a huge mold inspection issue in the state of New Hampshire, to my knowledge.
One more follow-up. So maybe this is a question for OPLC. So could we get rid of the licensing part and keep in the couple of lines that say just go get the certification at one of these 2 or 3 places?
Yeah.
Don't need a New Hampshire license because it doesn't exist anymore, but maintain the requirement for, is that?
I have no objection to that idea. I think it's perfectly fine.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Senator Altshuler with a question.
Yes. So, thank you very much. Thank you for taking my question. So with respect to a comment you made in your testimony, I would, I'm not sure what district you're from, like where?
Hillsborough 13, which is Hudson.
Hudson, okay. So, I live on the seacoast, and mold is a big problem. Big problem, particularly for historic homes. And under the RSA that we have now, somebody who operates cross-border, right, would have the professional licensure that is required through the Council of Certified Residential Mold Inspectors, which is what we require. And they have a very strict recertification when they have to do it every 2 years. So if we get rid of this, then people would be able to operate in the state of New Hampshire without any certification, without any specific training. And, you know, remediation, anyone can decide that they're a mold remediator. And that, do you see the issues that could crop up, particularly in the very delicate historic districts that are waterfront? And that's, you know, where we're responsible for our historic homes and historic buildings. And when somebody who purports to be able to do a particular kind of work is actually kind of winging it, or they did it once with somebody else in a different venue, that can do real damage.
Thank you for the question, Senator.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important point that you've highlighted. This particular license does not cover mold remediation. You can be a mold remediator and not hold this license under the statute. That's why this came to my attention, is that it's the narrow scope of this license is why I just filed to remove it. It seems so narrow that.
Further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you all.
Matt? Welcome back. It's been a long time.
Been a really long time. Good morning. Once again, I'm Matt Mayberry, the CEO of the New Hampshire Home Builders Association. Could we please take Senator Altschuler's question and add my name to it? Because she nailed it. Please don't do this. I missed this in the House. No excuse. I got a call from someone who does mold remediation. We are opposed to this bill. Let me be real clear from the home builders. I've also been a realtor and a real estate broker for 35 years. What'll happen is in a home inspection is that a home inspector will say, that looks like it could be black mold or it could be mold. Please consult an expert. They don't pass judgment there. Say it could be a problem. Please consult an expert. And it's taken from there. If this were to pass, everyone with a Google search and YouTube and an opinion will now go in to assess mold. What my professionals will say is, let us go in there and see if it really is mold, how pervasive it is, the cures and the long-term prevention of mold to go through. This begins that wild west of everyone who has an opinion can be an assessor. When they haven't gone through the certification, there are national certifications that can help with this, and those who are truly in the profession search out those. And they tell the consumers, this is why I can give you an opinion on this. Please, let's leave this in the realm of data versus opinion. And please ITL this.
So you heard the representative's statement that there's no current license holders, and we're not aware. We will ask OPLC if they do know if there are any past license holders, but I guess I'd like your response to that.
And certification will be fine. There just has to be some level of accountability in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the committee?
Yeah, I have a question.
Senator Altschuler.
I think I'm confused about the assertion that there's nobody who holds this certification, because the certification is through a national organization, not through New Hampshire. And the national organization, the American,
Nancy?
yeah, the
American Medical.
yes, thank you. So this national group does the certification. We accept the certification through RSA 310. And indeed, there are dozens of people who hold this certification as not, and that's not the only license or certification they hold. They actually hold a number of other professional certifications that are in the realm of home building, remodeling, historic home preservation. This is where I'm really concerned, is in the historic building and historic home preservation. We see mold being a huge issue in LCHIP. And if we were to get rid of this, then I guess would we be relying on the goodwill of professionals who previously had and maintained that certification, which does cost money to maintain, on the goodwill for them to continue doing it? Or, since it does cost money to do, they could they not just drop it and still continue doing the work that they do and say, well, I once did this, I don't have the certification, but I was trained like 10 years ago.
You're correct.
Okay.
When I came before you folks,
Go ahead.
when we talked about air exchanges in the last session, we were building homes tighter. And you folks were, had the great judgment to, come with the home builders and loosen that a little bit, because we're building homes so tight that mold can't dry. It can't go away. Moisture stays within these homes. And that's why those air exchanges we talked about last session were so important, to let a house dry out once in a while.
That's not a problem at my house.
And if you have more than one child, it's usually not a problem either, because those doors are just a revolving door.
We're on the top of the hill and there's plenty of air exchanges.
Yes, there is.
Further questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Senators.
Director Juris, I know you're not on the list, but we do have some questions I think maybe you can have some insight on. So. Thank you for coming up.
Yes. Good morning. Just for the record, Deanna Juris, Executive Director, OPLC. I'm always happy to take your questions. And pardon my laptop.
You're always smiling when I call your name.
I have my laptop up just so I can have the statute and the bill text in front of me. So pardon the screen.
All right. I know we do have a couple of questions. Senator Reardon, then I'll go to Senator McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for taking my question. I'm looking at this chapter.
Great.
And it's typical that we might not license the person, or we might not be the one issuing the license, but in fact, even with Radon, the one right after that, they have to have some kind of national license, and then we acknowledge that here in the state of New Hampshire. Is that true?
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll answer that by taking a slight step back just to kind of give some context, and I think it'll probably answer your question and maybe some other questions as well. So this is kind of a unique scheme, and by that I don't mean any negative connotation. It's kind of an interesting model. So within the section about home inspectors, there's these two requirements in statute, and basically, right, it's like, here's the law. If you don't do it, you're either guilty of a violation or a Class B misdemeanor if you don't comply with the statute, but it is not enforced by an approval by the state of New Hampshire. So it's a requirement to have this training of a national certification. So it's kind of a way, the current structure is saying, we want people to have some qualification, but we don't think the state needs to give you the stamp of approval. We need to say, you, as a professional, go get the certification to perform this work. So that's the structure for the airborne radon mitigation installer certification and for the mold assessment certification. So that's the model here. It is unique in some ways. It's not a necessarily a typical model. But I think so. We don't have credentials that OPLC issues for either of those two things. The mold assessment, which is what you're speaking about here, that section 310A 189B specifically exempts people who are going in if their primary purpose is not mold assessment. So a home inspector who's going into a home inspection can assess if there is mold without a national certification. I mean, if they're already in the home, they're doing this inspection, they don't have to say, oh, just kidding, can't tell you there's mold there, I got to go get this national cert. So there's some protections there, and it includes inspection, investigation, or survey identification or evaluation, development of a remediation specification or protocol, and then collecting a sample for analysis, but not the actual remediation. So there are different contractors, I guess is a word you could say, who are performing the actual remediation work. So the question before the committee is, do we want to require that people get national training? Yes or no? It's not a state issued credential. And so that's kind of the structural question. That's the policy question before you.
Senator McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Jarius, for taking my question and explaining that. It seems that we're stuck in a certification versus licensure situation. There's certification required. The state hasn't or has not currently issued any licenses. So my first question is, could they? I mean, could someone who gets one of these certifications delineated in the statute come to your office and say, I want to be a licensed New Hampshire mold inspector?
No.
That's what.
There's nothing in the
So there's
statute.
no license holders because it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Got it. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Further questions? Senator Reardon.
Thank you, and thank you for, again, taking my question. But it does mandate that you have a national certification.
Correct.
In the
And I think that that for those of us who have been EDNA work for some time, we've kind of gone around and around the block on this. It is confusing because most of the time a national credential of a private, nonprofit, some other organization is typically called a certification. Most of the time, an approval by the state is considered a license. But sometimes it is called a certification, it's an approval, any kind of that. So RSA 541A, I'm not going to get all the numbers for the reference, but it has a definition of license and includes basically any approval. If the state, and in this instance, OPLC has to say yes or no to grant authority to do something, it's considered a license under 541A and under 310. So no matter what you call it, a certification, a permit, a license, approval, any of those words that mean that the office or a board says yes or no is considered a license. And that with that comes a 2-year expiration under 310, a fee set by the office. Records need to be managed by the office. Boards have to set rules, and the 541A proceedings apply. So in this instance, it is not a certification, a license encompassing that big picture that is granted by the state. It is just a requirement that they get a training. Another example, the CPR certification, right? There's no, the OPLC doesn't grant those. I don't believe there's a state entity that grants a CPR certification. It's a national organization. So that would be another, and that would be another example of something. You can get a babysitter certification, right? You can get a training, you get a certificate. It says you did it, you did the training. It's not a state issued credential. Yeah.
Any further questions? Oh, Senator Alston.
Thank you. This may be out of your scope, but it's my understanding that after exposure, many mortgage lenders will require certification, remediation by a certified remediator, in order to continue an insurance policy on the house. Is that anything that you've run into, or people saying, like, asking the state, who do we go to?
I'm not familiar with that, and I guess what I would say is this statute is only touching the assessment, not the remediation. So if there was any mandate around remediation, the statute does not speak to that. So I wouldn't necessarily be able to get you more information on that either.
Other questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Director. Anybody else who would like to speak on House Bill 1126? Seeing none, we will close the hearing. And we will move on to House Bill 1511. Okay. Any objections for you on the Senate bill? No, I mean the Senate bill that we have to execute. So do we have anyone here to introduce House Bill 1511? I don't see anyone here. All right. Any volunteers to introduce?
Any sponsors on 1511?
All right, Senator Reardon, would you mind introducing?
Absolutely. I would not mind.
Am I a sponsor? I guess I am a sponsor, but Senator Reardon will introduce.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Tara Reardon, Senator for District 15, Concord, Bow, and Hopkinton. I'm here to introduce House Bill 1511 relative to the membership of the Agriculture in the Classroom Committee. Thank you.
Senator. Commissioner. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, I am Sean Jasper, Commissioner of the Department of Agriculture, Markets, and Food. I'm here in support of House Bill 1511, but will be asking you actually to hold on to this bill for a while.
Okay.
The original intent of this amendment was simply to remove New Hampshire Dairy Promotion Board, which is dissolving, but legally can't dissolve until they're taken out of the statute. The other fix was that there was a typo in the law, and it said the committee was to be reporting on the activities of the commissioner, and it really should have been reporting on the activities of the committee. I told them if they wanted to report on my activities, I was okay with that, but that I didn't think that was what it intended. Since then, since testifying on the bill originally, it was added in to replace Dairy Promotion Board with a member of the, someone from the dairy industry, which has started a larger conversation, which is we cannot get representatives from many of these organizations, which has led to problems with quorums. The chairman has sent out letters. We, have a meeting and there's not enough there. In conversations with the coordinator and with Rob Johnson from Farm Bureau, I think we can come up with a pretty simple solution to take the governor out of this entirely, take most specific organizations out, probably leave in Farm Bureau for sure, but then allow others to come forward. Because even when we've gone to the organizations and say, please send us somebody, they don't, or if they do, the member doesn't show up. So I think we've got an easy fix, and I'm going to actually write something to present to the committee on the 8th.
Okay.
And if Senator, you or somebody else would like to work with me when we're through, I can send you a
Sure.
draft for proposed amendment. And I believe the House will be fine with this as well. And I will certainly work with Chairman Aaron on explaining what's going on. So,
Okay, I'm certainly happy to work with you on it.
all right. Thank you very much.
And you don't want the Ag and the Classroom to be a watchdog committee for the commission?
I'm fine with that, but I don't think that was the intent.
Questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Rob Johnson, representing New Hampshire Farm Bureau as the Federation's Policy Director and Administrator, and we are in full support of what the commissioners testified to. If I may, Mr. Chair, I've got a copy of the complete RSA, which gives you an idea of who does serve. And what Agriculture in the Classroom is, its main goal is to provide the resources for teachers to teach agriculture geared at the third grade level. And Ag in the Class is administered differently across the nation. It started as a USDA program, and it's been administered by New Hampshire Farm Bureau in New Hampshire since its inception in the 80s. It was in about 10, 12 years ago when Commissioner Merrill was Commissioner of Agriculture. She supported legislation to make it a committee of the department, and that was to help provide some stature and resources for it. And a few years back, Extension has now taken on the role of the coordinator of the program as an Extension personnel. And Farm Bureau, we still house them and provide administrative support and a little bit of funding as well. But yeah, we are in full support of what the commissioner testified to, and appreciate your support for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Any questions from the committee? All right, seeing none. Yeah, we'll work on this together and see what we can come up with. Anybody else that would like to testify on House Bill 1511? Seeing none, we'll close the hearing. Are you introducing the CACR? Is that what you're here for? Yeah. All right. We're going to open the hearing on CACR 13 and recognize Senator Abbas, Senator Abbas to introduce. Get my tongue untied there.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I am Senator Darrell Abbas. I represent District 22, and I'm here to introduce the CACR 13. I did speak with the prime sponsor, Representative Dennis Mannion, who's unable to make it today. He is under the weather. I talked to him. He didn't sound good, trust me. But I'm not going to get into depth on this. I know Madam Speaker Sytek is here, and she will speak a lot more intelligently on the CACR than I will. But this has been on the ballot before. It's an extinct position. We all know that. I would just say for my friends and colleagues who are going to be on the ballot again, something I haven't done in the past, which I intend on doing, is promoting that people vote yes on this. This position does nothing but waste money for the state. They don't actually have any active duty. I think it's time that we clean up the Constitution to remove it from there, so we stop spending money on a position that doesn't exist.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Former Speaker, do you need help getting out? I guess you're okay. All right. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Good to be here. Nice warm room on a cold day.
Yes.
My name is Donna Sytek. I'm from Salem, and I'm a former register of probate. And I want to thank Senator Abbas for introducing the bill and Senator Mannion for sponsoring this housekeeping measure at my request. Historically, the elected register of probate served as the clerk of the probate court, supporting the judge in handling estates, guardianships, adoptions, and supervising a professional staff. It was a real job then. In 2011, the legislature passed a comprehensive reorganization of the district and probate courts and the family division. They formed the new circuit court. As part of that court reorganization, the legislature stripped away the responsibilities of the elected register of probate and transferred them to a court employee, who's the clerk of the probate division of the circuit court. All that remains of the register of probate is the title. It's enshrined in the state constitution as an elected position along with all the other county positions. The register has no office, no phone, no desk, no computer, and no real duties, but does have an annual salary of $100. So who would work for $100? I wonder where that number came from. Because the office is in the Constitution, the legislature couldn't eliminate it by statute when they passed the court reorganization. Since then, there have been several attempts to restore the duties and make it part of the county again. And there have been, all those efforts failed. There have also been previous CACRs. On my Facebook memories page, it reminded me that it was 10 years ago to the day that the Senate voted down the constitutional amendment to do the very thing we're trying to do today. But here we are. The CACR did make it to the ballot in 2022, and it got 62.8% of the vote, not the necessary 2/3. I think that it failed because of the wording. Just said, are you in favor of amending the Constitution, and then listing the county offices? It's not like when you get a bill and they cross out the part that's being repealed. When the voters came, they just said, what is this? Are you in favor of electing these? What did it do? So what this bill does is change the wording of the question. It's identical to the one that got almost over the finish line, but changes the question to inform the voter what they're getting. So it would say, are you in favor of eliminating the office of Register of Probate by amending these 2 articles of the Constitution? Then it lists the county officials that would still be elected. This CACR takes care of the unfinished business from 2011. and I urge you to pass the measures so that the voters will have the chance to complete the work that the legislature started 15 years ago. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you for your testimony. It's great to see you again. Any questions from the committee? I think you did a great job.
see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to testify on CACR 13? All right, seeing none, we will close the hearing. I'll take a motion to go into exec.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. All right, we are in exec session. We have one bill we have to exec, and that is our final Senate bill, which is Senate Bill 570. You do have an amendment. Can I have you pass this amendment before I get it mixed up? You do have an amendment that I am bringing to the committee. That was language that was presented to me from the Ethics Committee. And Rich, do you have an explanation you'd like to present on this? Just give the committee a little insight, or?
I'd be pleased to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, I'll do this. I'm going to move Senate Bill 570 ought to pass.
Second.
I'm going to offer amendment 2026-1220S. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. And I'll open it up for discussion on the amendment. Rich Lambert is here if you have any questions that you'd like to ask. I just received this late last evening and the amendment early this morning, so I'm kind of reading it with you. I quickly perused it last night, and I did have the language sent out to you so you could see what was going to be in the amendment. I think the language looks pretty good myself, but I will open it up. Are there any questions?
I'm just checking the amendment to what you sent us last night. I think it's the same, exactly the same.
You have a question?
Yes, I do.
Rich, could you come up? Senator Reardon has a question. Thank you.
It's pretty simple. I hate to drag you all the way up here for it. Thank you.
Senator Reardon.
Thank you for taking my question. So a lot of confusion happened with the last rewrite of the statute. So what I understand from what I'm seeing of the amendment, it's a replace all of the bill. And the existing parts of this recusals for conflict of interest, paragraphs 1 and 2 stay intact. Nothing happens. This is just all new clarifying language. New paragraph 3.
Which is the exceptions to recusal.
Where is that?
Oh,
Sorry, on line 29, page 1.
thank you. So instead of saying the budget,
C4B.
which caused the confusion about the budget and the trailer bill, now we've just laid them all out.
Yes.
Okay,
So it's section 2 of the bill.
perfect.
And the committee received input from Senator Rosenwald, who would be
Yeah.
the expert on that, too.
I will say thank you to whoever ensured we got this last night, so we actually got to look at it and read
Well,
through
it
it
was-
here.
It was sent down to me about 4 o'clock, and I knew we were very tight on OLS, so I was not sure we were going to have to, we might have to do this as a committee amendment, because I do have to get it out the door today. But thank you, Rich, for your work on this. I appreciate you being here. Any further questions for Rich? All right, I think we are good. Thank you. Any further, the motion on the floor right now is ought to pass on the amendment. Do we have any further discussion from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. I will move ought to pass as amended.
Second?
Further discussion on the bill as amended. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Move consent?
Is there any reason for this not to be on consent?
Oh, it's a CACR, it can't be.
No, this is Senate Bill 570.
Oh, this is 570. No, never mind.
No
Sorry.
concern with this being on?
Wrong one.
Okay. Any objection to consent? All right, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I will take this out. Thank you again,
Thank
Rich.
you very
Appreciate you
much.
coming
Thank
over.
you.
Do we want to act on the CACR?
Let me see what I wrote down.
Do we have a motion?
Move ought to pass on CACR 13.
Second, all right. So we have a motion of ought to pass on CACR 13 and a second by Senator McHugh. Any discussion? I think this makes sense, and I think the former speaker laid it out very well in her comments that she brought forward, and it's, looks like this would be a good thing to put to the voters, and get it out on the ballot.
Agreed.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposition to consent? Or actually, this probably can't go on
CACR,
consent. I'm sorry, that's right. So
Once-
I will take this one out myself. Thank you again. So we've been asked to hold the ag in the classroom bill for the work. The only other one, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is our mold assessment, right? That's the only one from today. Do we want to have some, or did we do the OHR? Ben, did we do 1037? We acted on that? Okay. All right. I got my piles mixed up. I was shuffling here. We do not have to act on the mold assessment bill today if you want time to think about how to approach it.
I think keeping the statutes consistent, and if you look at the chapter, radon is right next to the mold assessment, then it makes sense as is to require national certification, and I think that those national certifications could be something that some other profession already has. I don't see that we'll have a lot of just people signing up to be mold assessors, but that, so that OPLC knows that they have some framework on the books, but it seems to make sense to leave it the way it is right now. It doesn't say license there.
Director, is there anything more you want to add to our discussion, or are you comfortable with?
Just so we're clear, that there is no license. You
And
can't
there's-
get one if you want one. So there's no license to repeal. We heard from a sponsor, he wanted to repeal the license because nobody has them.
Yeah, there is no license, and there's not a license for a radon
Sure,
evaluator
a lot of things.
either.
Yeah, a lot
So
of-
I think it makes sense the way it is now.
Yeah, but having some certification training necessary for mold mitigation.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, especially if there's no license requirement.
Is there a motion?
Move ITL?
Move ITL?
Second.
Second. So we have a motion of ITL on 1126 by Senator Reardon. Excuse me. A second by Senator McHugh. Any discussion? I think we heard enough testimony against myself that there's no compelling reason to remove this right now. I will support the ITL. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Move consent?
Any objection to consent? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye. Senator Reardon, why don't you take this one out?
Sure. Thanks.
House Bill 1030 is one we have left in the past, and we have an amendment, something, there it is. I got mixed up in my papers. Senator McHugh, you had a motion?
Sure, I'll move on to pass on the bill.
I'll second. You want to move the?
Yeah, I'll move the amendment 202-61198S.
I will second.
And I'll speak to it for just a second.
Please do.
So there was some pretty thoughtful discussion between the interested parties, both the RN Nursing Association and the Hospital Association. And that's how we came up with this particular language that does take out the word focused nursing assessments, but adds words that conducting nursing assessments will be to contribute to the comprehensive assessment of the health status of assigned clients. So that leaves some guardrails. It gives the employers probably some cover. It remains to be seen how much it will actually change in practice, especially by the more experienced nurses, the ones that have been around a while and doing it the same way for a long time. But this is a negotiated and decent compromise language, and I support it.
Well, thank you for your work on this, and I appreciate the work of the stakeholders as well, and I think this is a reasonable compromise. Any further discussion on the amendment? All right, seeing none, all in favor of Amendment 1198S, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now, Senator McHugh is moving on to pass as amended. I will second on House Bill 1030. Further discussion on the bill as amended. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any objection to consent?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. And Senator McHugh, you can take this one out.
All right.
Anything else you want to work on today, or there's nothing, I will, for the benefit of the committee, there's no House bills going to be put on next week's calendar, so there's no hurry on us doing these. I am scheduling another hearing day on next Wednesday. And we can exec more than if we want to. We're only putting 6 bills on, and they should roll through pretty quickly. So we will have some time after that if we want to exec more than.
I'll talk to you after.
Okay. Anything else you want to do? Are we good for today? All right, I'll take a motion to come out of exec. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. We are out of exec, and our work is done for the day. Thank you, everyone.